Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee Time. Today I am here with two associate professors. So let's welcome Dr. Farrar and Dr. Muldoon. So happy to have you here today. Cheers.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. It's a gorgeous day in Minneapolis today, so I really appreciate you being here to chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's dive right into it. We have a lot of exciting things going on campus as of late, and NWHSU recently implemented a competency-centered curriculum in the chiropractic program. I know you're both involved in the new team-taught class, Integrative Biology of Human Health and Disease. So can you talk a little bit about how you designed this course and why, Dr. Farrar?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It seems like over the last few years, education, learning, and teaching is constantly changing. If we look back at pre-pandemic learning and teaching, through the pandemic, post-pandemic, it seems like change is the only constant. And along with that change, the approach that we're taking is a little bit more intentional and integrated. So instead of having these separate courses of just anatomy and just physiology and just histology, trying to find a more intelligent, meaningful way to bring them together where they should be together and keeping them separate and unique where they belong that way.
Okay. And how would you say it's going so far, Dr. Muldoon?
It's a work in progress. It's always a work in progress. Change is difficult, but we think we are producing a wonderful program. I think students are gravitating to it. It takes time to learn in a new way, a new method of teaching is always difficult to learn. But I think that they're really adapting.
Amazing. This is just the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. And anatomy and physiology and some of the other basic sciences included in this course are known as some of the more challenging courses in the chiropractic curriculum, right? What do you say to students who come to you and say that it's too hard, or that it's not going to be relevant for their chiropractic career?
I think that we really emphasize it's all about growth mindset. It's hard. Growth is hard. I'm fond of telling the students, here's your comfort zone, and all of your growth is happening outside of that. Right. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And growth can be hard, but it's also profoundly rewarding when they start to master the material, demonstrate those competencies, and they can start to see that their comfort zone is actually expanding, and they're getting better and better at learning the material.
That's great. Yeah. And anything to add?
I would add that the practice of chiropractic is applied anatomy. And I'll often say to students early on in their first year that every course after this is just more detailed anatomy and physiology. And so what we want and expect is for students to not be at a mastery level when they finish anatomy, but to have a firm enough foundation in basic sciences and foundational sciences, so that when they get to their clinical courses and their diagnostic courses and practices, that it's rooted in foundational sciences. And one thing that I love is the bit of delayed gratification that I get.
I was going to ask about that.
I always read our end of term evaluations when students finish their first and second and now third trimesters in anatomy with the new curriculum. And it takes a thick skin to take and receive some of that feedback, right, because so many students do find it challenging depending on what their background is before they matriculate to school here. And then they get to clinic and they start utilizing this, or they come back for continuing education courses, and they come up and they're like, I was a little harsh.
You were right the whole time.
Yeah, and that's the best thing to hear.
Very
is
gratifying.
To say that it's not that it was easy. It shouldn't be easy. It should be appropriately challenging, and it should be meaningful for the practice of becoming a healthcare provider.
In our facility, or in our work particularly, you have clinicians teaching anatomy, and we can really emphasize, hey, this isn't important until it's important. Yeah. In terms of relevance, it's going to be important to you, and you may not know, but it will become important. Trust us, and that's what you're speaking to when they come up and they go, I had a patient that presented like this, and we can go, there you go. So that's reinforcing for us too.
Great. And there are many things that you guys can be doing with your lives, of course. So why teach anatomy and physiology?
I think that's a great question that to me sort of sounds like, what's the meaning of life?
Yeah.
And once you've figured out that the meaning of life is just to experience life, what bigger impact, what more profound impact could you have than teaching other people how to help other people take care of their bodies and to live a healthy life?
Yeah, there's not much that can beat that.
Our good friend Dr. Joe Swery would say, we're on this realm, on this plane to help other people, and therein lies our joy. And it truly is a function of joy. It's really about the students. I mean, really giving them a leg up.
That's what gives you the passion to come back every day.
Absolutely. Yep.
Great. Well, and like we talked about the subjects being super challenging and intense, but I hear through the grapevine that you guys have a lot of fun too in the lab. So I want to know any good stories, or can you speak to just kind of like that environment that you're creating in the lab?
Yeah, a few things on that. First of all, you should always marry up. And when you have a work spouse, like I have in Joe.
I was like, where are we going with this?
I always refer to joke that Joe is my work husband.
Okay, makes sense.
And you should always marry up. And he provides a bit of levity that I appreciate every single day. But working with the students, one thing that I really enjoy is that everybody starts off with these various different backgrounds and where they come from, their experiences in human anatomy or vertebrate anatomy, different backgrounds in the amount of dissection that they've had in their undergrad courses or a master's course or another doctorate course, whatever that may be. When that nervous trepidation of doing anatomical human dissection gives way to curiosity, and when they start coming in with stories and questions about their family, and is that why my dad experiences this, or like my grandma was asking me questions about this, when that nervousness and the newness of just starting a really intense program gives way to their motivation and like, now I recall why I was inspired to go into this. And then towards the end of gross anatomy, I love that we don't really have to tell them what to do in the final dissections. They do it on their own, and it's out of curiosity and exploration. And there's very little guardrails on like, this is the sequence of what you need to do in dissection or how you need to do it. It's more of like, we get to the brain dissection and the spinal cord dissection, which is just like the cream of the crop, especially going into this profession. And you really start to reconsider and understand the connectedness of everything in the body.
That bridge from that trepidation, trepidation here and their fascination is here. And we get to see this invariably every term, watch that trepidation, that fascination invert. And I think that's really rewarding.
Yeah. And it's easy to have fun when you're having fun. When I was a student here at Northwestern, just a few years ago, I haven't aged, but when I was a student, I had Dr. Jane Wittick in several of my courses, and I remember in her courses, we walked into anatomy lab one day, and she said, if Mama's not having fun, nobody's having fun.
Right.
And I think that shows with the students. They see us enjoying what we do. We both practice as well, or have practiced for several years prior to teaching. And I think that is one of the draws to us as a team and to the curriculum in the program, that they get to see people who are motivated and dedicated and inspired and love inspiring people.
That's a big deal.
I love that excitement piece too. When we get to see anatomical variations and we get excited about that, they get excited about discovery, right? So we love that we get to experience that with them too.
Yeah, that energy, curiosity, it's infectious. It translates to the students.
We do have fun. We do have fun though, and it's intentional. It's really, truly intentional. I mean, there was a day, it was April Fool's Day, Dr. Farrar wears a skin-tight bodysuit into the lab, and it was one of these, I had to look at him like he could pull it off. There's no way I could pull it off, right? But he pulled that off, and the students, it was really amazing. So things like this, what we do is intense. It's intense. It can be very intense, but that helps to create things like this help to create a more relaxed learning environment, which is profoundly important to give the students the opportunity to really soak things in, right? The cortisol levels, we can get the cortisol lowered down, get them to de-stress. They are able to absorb better, right?
100%.
Right.
And anatomy is anatomy. There are 8 million different ways that you can learn it and that you can teach it.
Yeah.
And if we have a choice, we might as well have fun doing it.
Of course.
Spot on.
And is that you guys just being goofy, or you're bringing your whole selves to the classroom?
Joe has to work at it. Mine just comes naturally.
Effortless. You guys are a good team. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I loved talking to both of you, getting to know you both a little bit more, and talking about the new competency-centered curriculum. So we've got some exciting times ahead, and cheers to you both.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us.
Cheers. Thank you.
I'll see you at work.